There is a single Bible verse that, if it had been translated correctly, would have made traditional prayer obsolete. And I don't mean a slightly different interpretation. I mean one word was shifted from past tense to present tense, and that one change turned you from the creator of your reality into a beggar, asking someone else to create it for you. The verse is Mark 11:24. And if you have ever prayed for something, affirmed something, visualized something, and it didn't work, it is almost certainly because you were following the mistranslated version. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to write two versions of this verse on the board, and I want you to read them both carefully. The King James Version says, "Believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Now here is how the original Greek actually reads, and this is confirmed in the English Revised Version. "Believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them." See the difference? One word. Receive versus have received. Present tense versus past tense. And that difference is everything. Because believe you receive means hope it's coming. It means send your request upward and wait. But believe you have already received? That is not a prayer technique. That is an instruction manual for how consciousness creates reality. The Greek word used in the original text is elabete. It is aorist tense. It refers to something that has already happened, something already completed. And when translators softened it into the present tense, they didn't just change a verb. They changed the entire relationship between you and the creative power of the universe. A man named Neville Goddard spent 30 years of his life explaining exactly how this mechanism works, why the past tense is the key to everything, and what happens when you finally stop asking and start assuming. And that is what we are going to break down today. Let me start with why this matters practically. Because I know some of you have tried everything. You have tried affirmations, you have tried vision boards, you have tried praying with sincerity, with desperation, with every ounce of faith you could summon. And nothing happened. Or maybe something small happened, just enough to keep you going, but the big thing, the thing you really wanted, stayed out of reach. And I want to tell you something that might sting a little, but will ultimately set you free. The problem was never your sincerity. The problem was never how hard you tried. The problem was the model you were operating from. Let me draw this out so you can see what I mean. Here is what most people, and I mean billions of people across thousands of years, have been taught prayer looks like. You are here, God, or the universe, or source, whatever you call it, is out there. You are lacking something, you send a request upward, and then you wait and hope that this external force decides to grant it. That is the model. That is what almost every religion, every self-help book, every manifestation teacher implicitly reinforces. You want, you ask, you hope. And here is the problem with it. Neville Goddard said something that, when I first encountered it, genuinely changed how I understood everything. He said, "To be conscious of being poor while praying for riches is to be rewarded with that which you are conscious of being, namely poverty. That is from your faith is your fortune, and I need you to really sit with what that means mechanically. Every time you kneel down and ask for something you don't have, what state are you in? You are in the state of not having it. You are generating the feeling of lack. You are, in that very moment of prayer, impressing upon your deeper mind the conviction that you are a person who does not have this thing. And according to Neville, according to the actual mechanism of how consciousness operates, the subconscious mind does not hear your words. It reads your state. It reads your feeling. So when you pray, God, please give me abundance, your words say abundance, but your feeling says, I don't have it. And the subconscious, which Neville called the Father, always responds to the feeling, not the words, never the words, the feeling. This is why affirmations fail for most people. You can stand in front of a mirror and say, I am wealthy, I am wealthy, I am wealthy 1,000 times. And if your stomach tightens every time because you know your bank account says otherwise, you are not affirming wealth. You are affirming the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You are impressing lack 1,000 times over, gift wrapped in positive language. So let me cross out this old model, this upward arrow, from you to some external God. Because the verse was never telling you to send a request outward. It was telling you to shift your state inward. To go from, I want this, to, I have already received this. Not as positive thinking, not as denial of your current situation, as an actual change in your felt sense of identity. Now, let me show you why this works. Because I don't want you to just take Neville's word for it. I want you to understand the mechanism so clearly that you could explain it to someone else. Let me draw this out. Neville broke this down in Feeling is the Secret, and it is one of the most precise descriptions of the creative process I have ever encountered. He described consciousness as having two aspects: the conscious mind, that is you right now, listening, evaluating, deciding what to think about, and the subconscious mind, which is infinitely more powerful. It runs your body, it shapes your habits, it constructs the conditions of your life. Think of the conscious mind as the architect and the subconscious as the builder. The architect draws the plans, but the builder is the one who actually constructs the building. Neville put it this way: the conscious generates ideas and impresses these ideas on the subconscious. The subconscious receives ideas and gives form and expression to them. That is the creative cycle. Ideas go in, reality comes out. But here's the critical part that most people miss, and this is genuinely the key to everything. How does the conscious mind communicate with the subconscious? Not through words, not through repetition, not through willpower, through feeling. The bridge between your conscious intentions and your subconscious creative power is your emotional state, shows your felt sense of who you are and what is real for you right now. Neville even mapped this to scripture. He took Jesus' words, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I, and said that is the conscious and subconscious. They are one system, they are not separate, but the subconscious is the greater creative power. You, the conscious you, are the one who chooses the state, but the subconscious is the one who builds the world to match it. Now think about it this way. When you say, I am wealthy, but you feel broke, nothing crosses that bridge. The subconscious hears nothing useful. It just keeps building from whatever feeling's actually dominant. But when you say nothing at all, and yet you feel the quiet satisfaction of someone whose needs are met, whose life is secure, who wakes up without financial anxiety, that feeling crosses the bridge, and the subconscious begins reshaping your world to match it. Not because of magic, because that is what it does. That is its function. It gives form to whatever state you consistently occupy. This is why the past tense in Mark 11:24 matters so profoundly. When you believe that you have already received, you are not hoping. You are not affirming. You are generating the feeling state of someone who already has it. And that feeling state is the only instruction your subconscious recognizes. But Neville went even deeper than the mechanism, because the natural question becomes, where does this creative power actually come from? Is the subconscious just some biological machine, or is there something more happening? And this is where Neville drops what I consider the most radical reinterpretation in the history of Western spirituality. Exodus 3:14. Moses is standing before the burning bush. He asks God for a name, and God answers with one of the most famous lines in the entire Bible, I am that I am. Now every church, every Sunday school, every theology program teaches this as God's personal name, a title for a supreme being who exists somewhere external to you. And Neville said that interpretation cost humanity everything. Here is what Neville actually meant by this. He wrote in The Power of Awareness, I am is the self-definition of the absolute, the foundation on which everything rests. I am is the first cause substance. I am is the self definition of God. Let that land for a moment. And he is saying that every time you say, I am, you are not describing yourself. You are operating the creative power. Every I am tired, every I am broke, every I am not good enough, every I am blessed, every I am successful, every I am loved is not a description. It is a command. Because I am is not the name of some external deity. It is the name of consciousness itself, your consciousness, the awareness reading these words right now. That is what Exodus 3:14 was revealing. And when they taught you it was about someone else, some being up in the sky, they took the power out of your hands and placed it somewhere you could never reach it. So now look at what happens when we put all the pieces together. Let me connect this on the board. Mark 11:24 says, "Believe you have already received." Exodus 3:14 reveals that I am. Your consciousness is the creative power. Feeling is the secret shows that feeling is the bridge between intention and manifestation. These are not three separate ideas. They are one system. The formula is not ask God for something and wait. The formula is shift your I am state, your felt identity, to the state of already having received what you desire, and the subconscious, which is the creative power within you, gives it form in your world. This is what Neville meant when he said, praying is recognizing yourself to be that which you desire to be, rather than begging God for that which you desire. He did not soften this. He did not hedge. He said, and this is a direct quote, "Millions of prayers are daily unanswered because man prays to a God who does not exist." He meant the external, our separate God who grants wishes like a cosmic vending machine. The real God, the I am, is your own wonderful human imagination, your own consciousness. Now, I want to give you one more piece because I know some of you are thinking, that sounds beautiful, Neville, but prove it. Show me the logic. And he did. In prayer. The Art of Believing, he laid out something I think is the most underrated concept in all of manifestation teaching. He called it the law of inverse transformation. Here is how it works, and let me draw this out because it is actually quite elegant. If you get a promotion, that is a physical event, a change in the external world. And that physical event produces a psychological state. You feel confident, you feel valued, you feel secure. Nobody questions this direction. Event produces feeling, because A creates effect. B. Neville's argument, and this is where it gets genuinely fascinating, is that all transformations of force are reversible. If event A produces feeling B, then feeling B fully inhabited must eventually produce event A. He wrote, if your realized prayer produces in you a definite feeling or state of consciousness, then inversely, that particular feeling or state of consciousness must produce your realized prayer. Think about what that means practically. You do not need the promotion to feel confident. You can generate the feeling of confidence, the specific feeling you would have if the promotion were already yours. And by holding that state, by living in it, by letting it become your natural baseline, you create the conditions for the promotion to appear. Not through force, not through hustle alone, through the subconscious mind recognizing a new state and reorganizing your world to match it. And here is the subtlety that most people miss. The feeling is not excitement. It is not the thrill of it's coming. It is the calm naturalness of it being done. Think about something you already have that you once desperately wanted. Maybe a relationship, maybe a home, maybe a skill you developed. Do you walk around in a state of excitement about it every day? No. It is just your life. It is natural. It is settled. That settled, natural feeling is the target state. That is what believe you have already received actually feels like. Not fireworks. Quiet knowing. If this is clicking for you right now, if you are starting to see how this actually works as a complete system and not just a collection of feel-good ideas, I want to invite you to subscribe. Every week on this channel, we break down a different piece of Neville Goddard's teaching in this same way, going into the actual mechanics, the actual source material, explaining not just what to do, but why it works. Next week, we are going into a technique Neville considered the single most powerful creative act a human being can perform, and it builds directly on everything we covered today. So subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss that one. Now, let me give you something you can use tonight, because understanding the theory is important, but Neville was always about application. He wanted you to test this. He wanted you to prove it to yourself. Neville taught that the most powerful time to impress the subconscious is in what he called the state akin to sleep, sometimes abbreviated as SATS. It is that drowsy, liminal moment right before you fall asleep, when your body is heavy and your mind is quiet but still gently awake. He connected this to Matthew 6:6, where Jesus says, "When you pray, go within in secret and shut the door." The going within is the turning of attention inward. The shutting of the door is the closing off of your physical senses. You are entering what Neville called the bridal chamber, the place where the conscious desire meets the subconscious creative power and they unite. Here is exactly what to do. First, define your end. And I mean the end, not the next step. This is crucial. Neville was insistent on this. If you want a new career, do not imagine the job interview. That is a means, not an end. Imagine something that could only happen if you already had the career. A casual conversation with a friend where you mention how much you love your work, the view from your new office, a notification on your phone from your new company's payroll, something that implies the wish is already fulfilled. Second, construct a single short scene around that end. 10 seconds maximum. Not a movie. Not a detailed visualization with 17 characters and a soundtrack. One brief, vivid scene that implies fulfillment. Neville was clear about this. Keep it short so you can loop it and make sure it involves your senses. Feel the handshake. Hear the words, "Congratulations." See the specific text message. Touch the leather of the steering wheel. The more senses involved, the more real it becomes to your subconscious. Third, lie down tonight and let yourself get drowsy. Let the body get heavy. Let the mind settle. You are aiming for that threshold state, not fully awake, not fully asleep, but somewhere in between where things feel slightly dreamlike. This is where the conscious mind naturally thins out and the subconscious becomes most receptive. Fourth, begin looping your scene. Play it once. Let it end. Play it again from the beginning. And as you loop it, feel it. Do not just watch it like a movie on a screen. Step into it. Feel the emotions you would feel if this were happening right now. Not the desperation of wanting it. Not the anxiety of wondering if this is working. The quiet gladness of it being done. Neville said all true prayer wears a glad countenance. Not desperation. Not forced positivity. Genuine, quiet gladness. The kind of feeling you have when something wonderful has already happened and you are just sitting with the warmth of it. Fifth, fall asleep in that feeling. Let the scene carry you across the threshold into sleep. If your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back to the scene. No frustration, just redirect. The last feeling you hold as you cross into sleep is the seed you are planting in the subconscious. And the subconscious, which never sleeps, will begin working on it immediately. This is what Mark 11:24 was actually instructing. Not say a prayer and wait. Not send a request to heaven and hope. Enter the state of having already received. Feel its reality. And let the creative power within you, the I am, the subconscious, the Father, whatever name you want to give it, give that state form in your waking world. Now, some of you might be wondering, how long does this take? When will I see results? And I want to be honest with you. Neville talked about what he called the bridge of incidents. The idea that once you plant the seed in the subconscious, it does not just teleport the result into your life. It arranges a series of natural events, coincidences, opportunities, conversations that bridge the gap between where you are and where you have assumed yourself to be. Sometimes that bridge is short, sometimes it takes longer, but the bridge always appears. Your only job is to remain faithful to the assumption. Do not dig up the seed to check if it is growing. Just keep returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, especially at night, and let the bridge build itself. Here is what I want you to walk away with tonight. For your entire life, you were probably taught that prayer means asking, that God is out there somewhere, separate from you, that manifestation's about wanting something hard enough or raising your vibration high enough that the universe finally hears you. And none of that is what the original texts actually say. Mark 11:24 does not say ask and hope. It says believe you have already received. Exodus 3:14 does not name an external God somewhere above the clouds. It reveals that I am, your awareness, your consciousness, is the creative power itself. And Neville Goddard, across 30 years and 10 books, showed us the exact mechanism. Your felt state of identity impresses the subconscious. The subconscious gives it form in your world. There is no other power. There is no middleman. There never was. You were never meant to be a beggar standing outside the gates of heaven, hoping someone would toss you a blessing. The verse was never about asking. It was always, always about becoming. The prayer is not the request. The prayer is the transformation. And the moment you stop asking for what you want and start assuming you already have it, everything changes. Try the technique tonight. Test it for yourself. Neville never asked anyone to believe him blindly. He said, test it. And when it starts working, and it will, come back and tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one.